Hello and welcome to the final day of our virtual open event. We're focusing on our Freemans Park campus today, but there is a couple of cross-campus sections that we are also looking at. Today, right now, we are focusing on supported learning. Now, we've got some very educational experts that are going to be joining us, talking us through supported learning. So let me introduce you to them. We have Carol, Sam and Simone. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Hi, good, thank you.
Fantastic. Do you just want to sort of go around and sort of introduce yourselves, sort of explain your role at the college? Should we start with you, Carol?
Yeah, I'm Carol Quirk and I'm programme lead for the Learning for Living and Work provision at Freemans Park A Block. So this is for school leavers who will come from school and we'll have a programme preparing them for adulthood.
Fantastic. Simone?
I'm Simone Draper. I'm a programme lead from Abbey Park campus, and we are mainly delivering to learners with moderate learning difficulties who have been either in special schools or mainstream schools and are looking for a supported provision leading into work.
And last but not least, Sam?
Hello, I'm Sam Newman and I work alongside Simone at Abbey Park campus within supported learning, the Learning for Work program.
Fantastic. So first we're going to be talking about our Freemans Park campus in terms of supported learning, and then we'll talk a little about Abbey Park campus. So we've got a presentation to show you and Carol's going to sort of talk us through it. So I'll let you take it away, Carol.
Thank you very much. Okay, so this is Freemans Park campus at A Block. We want people to be successful who attend the college, and there's a ceremony every year celebrating student success. So all our courses are all based on the Preparing for Adulthood and the Education and Healthcare plan. So we do all of our work on good health, and we do cooking, healthy lifestyles, sports, and we try to get out and about in the community as much as we can. We haven't been able to since lockdown, but we hopefully in the future will be back out there in the streets. Also embedded in all of the courses are English and maths. So another strand for preparing for adulthood is independence, and we encourage our students to become as independent as possibly they can. So we do lots of road safety, bus training, independent home skills kind of activities, problem solving and embedded English and maths. We also have friends and relationships. So this is beginning to go to Enrichment. So if people want to join classes at dinner time, they've got a chance to speak to other people from other courses that are at the college. So we do things like bocce, dance. We've got a social space where people can go and mix with everyone at the college. We have a Bhangra class. We have loads and lots of leisure activities, mindfulness, relaxation. And personal safety and personal development is all part of that. Our employability skills, we have real work placements. We work for the City Council, doing lots and lots of activities like litter picking, leafleting, cleaning, office work, and doing the post runs at Freemans Park campus. So when we receive your educational healthcare plan, we can see if we can meet your needs. We look at the outcomes from the plan, and then we give you small steps towards them targets for you to meet the targets as much as independently as you possibly can.
Amazing. So that is a little bit about our Freemans Park campus supported learning. Simone and Sam, do you want to talk us through a little bit about what the difference is in terms of Freemans Park and Abbey Park in terms of supported learning?
So Abbey Park is probably a kind of a progression from Freemans. Some of the learners have the chance to move across, so they might spend a bit of time with Carol and her staff team, building on some of the independence that she's talked about. And then we kind of look at kind of taking it to the next level, really. So more independence, develop travel training, maths and English actual assessment. So rather than it just being embedded in what they do at Freemans Park, they actually have sessions which are geared around literacy and numeracy, and they take assessments. Equally with the work-based learning, we encourage the learners to start to access employment at a more independent level. So there's less staff support, although there is staff support, but things are sort of kind of scaled back a little bit. So it's developing more so the independence that the learners can actually operate with. We have a potential of 4 years of courses, and the first couple of years are really about getting used to being at college, whereas the last 2 or 3 years are very much geared towards work-based learning and realistic work opportunities.
Fab. Anything you'd like to add, Sam?
I think most of it.
Cool. Fab.
We do work along, similar to Carol at Freemans Park, with the Preparing for Adulthood strands. So we work, and we've got outcomes that are for friends and relationships, health, independent living, employment, and then, as Simone says, we concentrate on functional skills, maths and English as well, at entry level 1 right through to level 1.
Fantastic. Cool. So what qualifies a student to be part of a supported learning course? They have to have a certain requirements in order to be part of it.
There aren't any entry requirements to come onto any of our courses within supported learning. Most of our learners do have an educational healthcare plan, and all of our learners at Abbey Park have got a moderate learning difficulty.
Amazing. So I've got a couple of questions that we've sort of collated for you, really. But if anyone is watching at home and has any questions, do pop them in the comments and we'll answer those for you. So in terms of sort of the logistics of a supported learning class, will there be someone to meet young people at the transport drop-off and take them to their classroom? Because that journey can sometimes be quite tricky to achieve. So will there be someone there to meet them?
Yeah, we've got a bank of inclusion workers who starts at 8:30 in the morning and work through till 3:30. So, and they actually their role is to oversee transport at that particular time.
Fantastic. That's
so
well.
Yeah. So if learners arrive in a taxi, which many of the learners do, as Carol said, the inclusion staff are there to greet them, to guide them to whatever classroom they need to be in. Some of our learners use public transport, but again, there'll be familiar staff downstairs in the mornings and in the afternoons to kind of see them on their way or collect them in the mornings, just to make sure that they're building that independence and confidence around coming into college, whatever level they're at. So it may be that over a period of time, they start in a taxi and then they catch the bus. It may be that they come in a taxi and they're taken up to their classroom, and eventually that progresses to getting there by themselves. So there's a lot of different varying degrees of developing their independence, as I know there is at Freemans. So
Yeah.
Our aim really is to start them off in a very supported way, but with a view to giving them as much independence as we're able to do.
Yeah, and to assure the families and the students that we do take safeguarding really, really seriously. So the taxi drivers have to give us proof of addresses and real and names as well. So we're quite on top of that.
Amazing, cool. So obviously, as a normal sort of college or school day, you have a lunch break or break sort of throughout the day. Will the young person on the course be left to manage those lunch breaks on their own, or will there be support during those lunch breaks as well?
At Freemans Park, it's staffed all the time. We've got staff in the canteen and during enrichment as well. But with some students, after if they're 4 years and they've got a certain amount of independence, then people do go and access the social space on their own. People do go and access the library on their own, and that gives them a really confidence about doing things for themselves. So we encourage it as much as we can, but we do it safely.
Yeah, and at Abbey Park, there's always members of staff around at break times and lunch times. But if our learners are independent learners, then they are able to go off site if they want to at lunch times and break times. But there are always staff around to support the learners if they need it.
Cool. And in terms of sort of the actual learning side of it, sometimes being in quite a big class environment can be quite daunting for some young people. So what are the class sizes like on the supported learning courses?
At Freemans Park campus, we've got between 8 and 10 students in the class, and then one lecturer, and then however many inclusion workers we need to support the individual needs of the students. So we could have 14 in the class, we could have 10 in the class. And it's all individualised. And if somebody finds the room too noisy, then we've got strategies in place, social stories, headphones, extension tasks to support that person through it.
Fantastic.
That's very similar to Abbey Park as well. Our class sizes are slightly larger, so they're between 10 and 12 learners, but there's always an inclusion in the class, and very often there's more than one, because we've got one-to-one needs and things as well.
Fantastic. So we talked a little bit about sort of the overview of what kind of things students are taught on the courses, but are there any specific skills that students will learn on the supported learning courses that can help them gain that independence?
So we work a lot around communication, and as Carol mentioned before, building friendships and relationships that are positive, kind of weaving that into thinking about work for the future. So a lot of the softer skills that you might need to speak in public or speak to people you don't know, be able to work with increased independence. So they might start off having to have somebody with them, but eventually that we'd look at withdrawing that. And as we said before, the particular the maths and English assessments, we aim for all of the learners to have some sort of assessment around the level of maths and English. So they might start off at entry 1, and they may only ever gain an entry 1 qualification, but we aim to kind of get them through that. Equally, they may do entry 1, entry 2, entry 3, and move through the qualifications. But again, it's very, very much learner led and dependent on what the young person wants and needs.
Yeah, and independence at Freemans, we've got a flat, so students learn how to make the bed, how to put washing on, how to cook a small dinner. We've got Morrison's over the road, so they engage in making a shopping list, looking at how much money they'll need, going across, independently do it, using the scanning machines, all at a base of their own independence.
Fantastic, cool. So we have a thing called the Leicester College Internship. So I want to sort of describe what that is and how students can get involved in that.
So the internship is the third stage of what is offered at Abbey Park. So it would usually be a young person who's either spent some time at Freemans and crossed over and is then looking at a particular course that is work-based. It is based in-house, so all the placements that we offer are within the college environment. They may cross over to different campuses, but they're all based within our own buildings. They're supported at the level that is needed for the young person. So some people have a one-to-one with them to complete that placement. Other people will be delivered, and again, increased independence they might access on their own. And the placements range, as Carol mentioned, we utilise everything within college. So that might be the post room, it might be the refectory where they're helping prepare meals and serve meals. It may be in some of the offices, some of the grounds work, facilities and catering, maintenance.
We've also had learners work with the security as well at all 3 campuses.
Fantastic. There's quite a lot of range then in terms of what they can do on those internships. It's really cool. So obviously every young person is different and they have their own unique set of needs. If a student has complex health issues, how do you manage the whole class of students with different health and learning needs? Obviously, if you've got 10 people in a class, how do you manage every single person in there?
So what we'll do is we'll assess that student when they come in. We do have outside help as well. So we do work with speech and language therapists. We work with occupational therapists. We have special personal care room. We have people who take medication. We have people who take feeding tubes, everything like that. And what we do is we make sure that they're on the right course for one, and that we can meet the needs of the students. So it's all on an individual basis, and it might be that person has 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 support, but they will be allocated in the room with them. And if they need any procedures, then it would be their responsibility to do that. And we work with the families as well to make sure that's put in place.
And that's the inclusion workers that will be there to help them with that.
Workers, yeah.
Fantastic, cool. So are there any sort of special, we mentioned sort of the flat, but are there any specialist facilities that students get to use as part of the supported learning courses?
At C block, because that's for people with sensory needs, there are specialised rooms there with strobe lighting, mats, all sensory kind of switches, touches, computers, sounds, lava lamps, all this kind of stuff. So it's very, very up-to-date technology they use at C Block.
Amazing. Is there any at Abbey Park, or is that mainly at Freemans Park where those facilities are?
As Carol said, that the specialist facilities that I guess we're thinking about are the ones that might be directed at the people who have a profound learning need, whereas our facilities, I guess you could call some of the placements specialists because we support them and they're within college. Beyond those work placements, we then look to put learners out into the community in work placements, and they would be a lot more independent. So we try and utilise what we have as a college and support it. So it's not necessarily, I guess, specialist, but we take what we've got and we try and adapt it to the young person and the situation that they best need.
Yeah, and we work off site as well. So we've got an allotment, and we go to a gardening projects, and we've got outside agencies that we go to and actually work for. So I suppose they could be deemed as specialist.
We also run a cafe in the City Skills building. So and that is just run by our learners, and that's preparing food and looking at stock control and customer service and lots of different work skills. And that's something that we, as a department, we take ownership for.
Amazing. So we've talked a little bit about the progression there, but obviously moving from Freemans to Abbey Park and then going through those 4 years. But what are the progression opportunities for students, further on into supported learning?
In the moving on year at Freemans, they will experience community opportunities to realistic places where they'll be going after college. They're given the opportunities to go to voluntary places, and we work with them and their families, and we train them into things that they can do, and then help them, facilitate them to make the next step.
Fantastic. Anything else anyone would like to add? Or?
So at Abbey, the progression opportunities can be onto mainstream courses. So this year we have quite a lot of learners who have come from specialist provision within a mainstream school, and they have requested a transition into mainstream education. So we have quite a few this year who have requested that transition into health and social care. So we will keep them for a year. We'll build some of those independent skills. We'll familiarise them with the college, and then they will look to move on to a mainstream college course next year. Equally, we have learners who stay for 3 to 4 years, and they build towards realistic work opportunity. So that's either paid employment, voluntary employment, or, as Carol's spoken about, what else is available in the community for them beyond college. So it may be a programme around a bit of employment, accessing some clubs and social activities that are available to them in the community, and just building some of those independent skills.
Fantastic. So there's lots of progression.
We can also fast track people. So we don't, if somebody after a first year, we can see that they're progressing, fast, then we can fast track people, as well as saying, actually, we need to slow down, and we look at the opportunities for that person, and they can either, and we can work between the sites as well to make it a good package for that student.
So the pace is really dictated then by the students and their progression. So there's never any sort of quickly moving them along to the next area, as long as they're progressing at a good rate. Amazing. So obviously we have the student enrichment team as part of the college that provide enrichment opportunities for all college students. Do supported learning students also get to participate in those enrichment opportunities?
Yeah, the students at Freemans Park, they go down to the social space, and we do activities with the LEAP team there.
I'm sorry, I know last year we had a team of students that took part in a football tournament, and that was through the enrichment team.
And also the LEAP team offer days out, and we've been working quite closely with them as to how we can enable our learners to be part of those. So things like Alton Towers, they climbed Snowdon, they went to the Houses of Parliament. So those opportunities are available, but it's about us working with the LEAP team to work out how our learners can access them, because sometimes they do need a bit of extra support to do that. And the same with the sports facilities. If our students express interest in joining any of the enrichment sessions that are connected with sport. We try and support that, because they're not always able to just turn up and go along. So it's about putting in the right amount of support so that they can actually be part of them.
Amazing. So we're coming up to sort of the last set of questions now, but if anyone does have any questions they're watching at home, do pop them in the comments and these experts will answer those for you. So we talked a bit about obviously the course, how they work. Are the courses all full-time or some of them part-time? How does sort of the timings of the week go?
The courses at Freemans Park are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this year, and they are deemed as full-time courses. Then we do have one part-time programme called the Return to Learn, but that's not running just at the moment. But if you are interested in part-time, you haven't got an education healthcare plan and you're over 25, then we do offer provision. But at the current climate, we're not offering that one at the moment.
Fantastic.
All of our courses are 3 days, and they're spread across the week, depending on what course and what group you're in. 15 hours, so it's 9 till 3 every day for 3 days.
Cool. And in order to apply for a supported learning course, they just apply on the website, or is there a different way that students have to apply for the supported learning courses?
They've got a connections officer. If they're leaving school, then they'll have an end of year review, and then the staff at Leicester College will join them if they think that we can meet their needs, and that sort of starts the process off. And then we'll go for the interview process, see if we can meet people's needs, get them in, and then they apply online.
But equally, we are contactable, and we do deal with quite a lot of learners who don't necessarily apply online. They might come through open events like this. They may come through visits. They may just ring us and say, can we come? And like Carol said, at the moment, it's difficult because of the situation.
Yeah.
But ordinarily, we're very open to kind of arranging appointments for people and them coming and having a look what we do. And that might be just coming and having a look at what goes on in a classroom with their mum and dads, or visiting through school with a group.
Yeah, we've got school links as well, yeah. So
we're able to kind of, it's actually really nice for people to come and see the other learners and what they're doing. That's that's our best advert, really, because it enables especially the families to see how things actually work.
Yes, we do run an open day every year where it's a kind of come and learn. So they actually take part in activities within the college, and parents and carers and schools attend that. That's a really, really good way of getting people in. And then we might offer them a day after Easter term, if the school are okay with that. So they get to know us as well, and we can start making a sort of a profile about that learner and best how to support them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been really informative. I hope people watching at home found it so as well. And if you have any other questions, again, they're really reachable. So if you just email info@leicestercollege.ac.uk or have a look on the website, you can answer all your questions on there. But for now, we'll leave you. We're back in half an hour with hospitality and food and hair and beauty, or check out our Instagram for our virtual campus tour. But for now, we'll wrap things up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for joining me. And we'll see you all very soon.